James, man, welcome to the show. Let's get into it, man. lot going on. We're doing Machine Learning Day, which is a day to celebrate so many things in the data science world. And I am just thrilled that we've got James with us. And what he's building is so meaningful to how I think work gets done or will be getting done. So James, welcome to the show. And as always, we love to start with, how'd you get through the year? Give us the tips that helped you get out of bed. Then let's get into what you've been building. How's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds great. So first, thanks for having me on the show. Really excited to be here. So how did I get through the year? I think it's a great question. There was a couple things that I discovered that helped me get through the day. It was like, particularly in a company like ours that's creating this new market and is in a high growth situation, your day is generally unpredictable, right? And so there are spaces that become available in the day, and you need to take advantage of those. So if all of a sudden a hole opened up on my calendar and it gave me a chance to go for a bike ride or get outside or do that thing that might get interrupted of my original plan later in the day, just do that now, right? Get it out of the way, you feel better. And that was kind of a key part of it. The other part was, that those signals that you get of being in office and with everybody, drastically changed. So how could I bookend my week with my leadership team to make sure that we were on the same page, addressing kind of anything that we saw going into the week, and then summarize the end of the week and really just kind of develop that culture of creating signals in this new kind of way that kept us all on the same page. So that was kind of how we got through last year.
What's interesting is we all globally can share a little of this pain. This is one of those where when someone says, I know what you've been through, and you're like, no, you haven't. Like, this is one of these weird times in our life that we all can say, yeah, I know what I feel. I kind of know what we all had to work from home. We all had to juggle. We all had to deal with self-isolation and the loneliness of it. There's a lot. I think a lot of the data scientists I speak to are like, this is the greatest year ever. I don't like to speak to anybody anyway. This is awesome, right? It's not for everybody, but then you pick up on a few things of like, how do you connect with the team and do everything? So I think it's great to say. How many people from your team ended up moving to a destination city versus stayed in the local area?
So I would say about a third of our team found new places to live closer to family or friends that they had. And so that was the case. And then for hiring, we've, kind of the last year has opened up the opportunity. And we like to call it here VidMob opening up the aperture, because we're very creative, video focused.
That is good. That is good. That's good. I like that one.
To be able to see that, we've always believed in this idea that creativity or talent can live anywhere. And we also know that talent can work anywhere successfully too. So that allows us to hire more freely and in this kind of remote friendly environment, which is means happen probably more distributed now than they were a year ago.
Very creative. Aperture. I get you. I want to go to Aperture for a quick second and just stay with me on this rant. This podcast was created during a time of loneliness during COVID. I'm not a podcaster. I don't know about lighting and sound and editing, but this is what I ended up building and doing during COVID, just to break up self-isolation. And I learned a lot about lighting, and I'm bummed my main camera is not working. So I kind of get the aperture part and these little things. I can't tell you how many times, in the middle of the night, I'm like on YouTube, just learning lighting or video content. So yeah, that is interesting. Now, I also think, my belief, there are certain brands and sectors that are major winners during this pandemic, and then others are just major losers, which is awful, right? So on one side, you can look at barber shops and certain restaurants, right? Not not living their best self right now. Then you have certain companies and categories, Zoom, that's just winning. I put what you're doing in the winning category. I mean, content creation without having to go to Madison Avenue, when there is probably no more Madison Avenue, is the right time. I know you've been along longer than the pandemic, but when you're sitting and building as sitting at the top of the tech leadership, where did you guess right? Where did you guess wrong? Right? Because look at what has happened. Like on this, I'm just curious on how you think about it. Right, wrong. Go pick that thread up wherever you want. But I believe you guys are a sector that's winning, or your brand that's winning.
Where we guessed right, I would say, was in two observations. One was that when the company was first founded, late 2014 or early 2015, the transformation from kind of static content to more dynamic content, video at the time, but when we look forward at AR and VR and those other kind of communication mechanisms or mediums, was starting to happen. And so, having that foresight that was going to be kind of the way that communication evolved and transformed. And as part of that, like, creating that content is much more difficult than writing a few sentences of copy or creating a static image. And that the way that was going to scale was going to be through technology. So I think that's the first part. The second part, which we've done an incredible job leaning into and maintaining, is the value on human creativity. And when we first started, we went all in on human creators. It was an open marketplace. It was a more consumer-focused app. And we were up against other apps in the App Store that were trying to solve the creative friction problem through AI. And it was kind of, we held tight to that idea of human creativity, and that's how effective and valuable content would be created. And that was really, those two things is really what I think set us on the path that we're on today, as kind of being a creator in this space, and the value we're driving for our clients.
You said a few things that I want to just touch on for me and for the audience. Tell you how I understand creator. So I just want to riff with you on this. So, and I tell this to my friends, and I say, listen, there is a core difference between a creator and an influencer. I don't know how, well, let me rephrase that. I think I know, or at least how I want to define it, right? So you have, everyone is chasing certain influencers, and that's a big deal. But what I'm seeing with what you're doing and other platforms, I like that they're bringing out this word creator, content creator. For me, it doesn't also feel as heavy as an influencer. I think you can be a creator and you don't need to have 10 million followers. Mm-hmm. Like, you can still be very targeted in what you create, generate content. So I just would love to get your thoughts, because I love that you really think about that word creator, because creator and influence, they still can use the same tool that you built, but I think they're a little bit different. That's how I believe they are.
Yeah, so the way we think about creators are folks that are within our platform that are helping to create content for our clients, for our brands, for our platform partners, etc. There are folks like video editors, they are creative directors, they're motion graphic artists, they are copywriters, they are people who are creating, working together to create a piece of content. And I think your point is exactly right around influencers and creators. And this really gets to, again, how we think about, both engineering talent, data talent, but it started out with how we thought about creative talent, that you didn't have to live in proximity to Madison Avenue. You could be a very creative person out in the middle of the country, but through our platform and that investment in human creativity, you're working on projects for some of the largest brands in the world. And that's kind of how we think about creators in this. And you don't have to have that influence. You can, we normalize kind of the creative process for talent and quality.
Yeah, I'm a fan, and where I've seen that word just resonates with me, right? And I feel that I believe I'm a creative person, and I feel like now I can call myself a creator. I'm creating content. I'm creating this, and like I say, I'm no Joe Rogan, but I'm still meeting a lot of great people and having great conversations.
And as a data scientist or a data engineer or a software engineer, you're a creator as well, right? You
Good point.
are taking a concept that somebody is presenting to you or that you came up with, and you're creating something out of nothing, right? And
that's a good point. When you look at maybe the class that just graduated, right? It's May. And you look at maybe how to either find the job, and pick this rant up anyway. It's either chasing the job, chasing the brand, chase the manager, chase the data. I mean, there's in this data set, most people say find a good manager, that's what you want. But I just wonder for people thinking about career moves, looking back, would you chase the manager? Would you chase the data set? Would you chase the sector? Like looking back on your career, what would you chase or recommend chasing?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. For me, and this is partially due to my personality, I probably chase it all. I tend to just be probably over enthusiastic about what I do. And I would kind of then bring that back to chasing the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning with enthusiasm. Like whether, what we're doing, the type of content that we're producing and where the market is right now is in creating ad content for our partners. Yeah. My previous background is in ad tech. I enjoyed the technology part of it. I didn't jump out of bed to kind of write the next bidding algorithm for targeted advertising. But for what we're doing here, like my background has always been in the creative space one way or the other, whether it's through being a choir director or when I was in high school playing saxophone. I always enjoyed the creativeness. And when VidMob came along, Alex had this idea of creating 1 million jobs through our platform. And so the whatever we're creating for content is kind of secondary to where the value is for me. It's in the creating opportunity for people to do their best work. And that's whether it's the engineering team that I'm responsible for or the creator community that we're building through the platform. So I think for people who are looking for jobs, it's really understanding what is your interests, what contributions do you think you can make to that organization, and are the right people there that you think you can grow with, and that will help you grow as an individual.
Yeah, because the interesting thing, and I love how you thought through that answer, and or the response, not even answer, your thoughtfulness. But when I look also at some of the success of your career, it was always weaved through cloud. I don't know if it was meant or not. So it's kind of that same thing, chase it all. But if we were like that big bulky place and I feel like a creative person that can only work on-prem in maybe a government in a box also just intuitively wouldn't be right for you. Because you have this great story with all these cloud. I've seen cloud, and there's cloud tools and moving to the cloud. I don't know if you want to talk to that part on that creative and curious part.
I think that's an interesting observation. And I think that's probably right. We're understanding kind of what the business is going after and what the opportunity size is and what the size of the company is kind of dictates a lot of how problems are solved and how work is done. And for us, and you're right, through my career, most recently in the last 10 years, has really been investing in building solutions on top of cloud-based services. It allows us not to reinvent the wheel. It allows us to create data or create value in a way that then we can focus on what is the differentiating part of the value chain that we're creating that's going to set us apart from other parts. So we're always, challenging the engineering team, the data science team to really think about the tools that are in their toolbox and use the appropriate ones for the job so that they can be spending their time doing the things that nobody else is going to do, so that we can, build on the momentum we have.
I think that's, I heard it but I'm going to kind of rephrase it in a little bit different way. To everyone that's listening and looking for a job, read between the lines. When you're looking for a job and you see the company and you see what they stand for, what they do, and it's going to be maybe, I'm going to call it government, or it's very closed. Just understand what that path is going to be versus rocket ship startup. Nothing really built, but we're going to figure it out. Right. And then that goes into, do you like to build or do you like to fix? It sounds like I love this conversation. So it's with a builder, and that's great. And there's other people that come in just to fix and maintain.
Exactly.
There is no bad.
There is no bad. And it's finding your fit, right? And
yes,
there are,
finding your fit.
And you will find that the intensity and continual sense of urgency might not be the best fit for you, right? But there are other companies that allow you to be the fixer and have a very predictable and repeatable workflow. And other people like me, that would not be a place where I would be successful. The change of environment and the continue kind of reacting to things as the business transforms itself is the exciting part, and that gets me up with that. But again,
I'm gonna share another story. Like I have a buddy who had a fantastic job at Facebook. And I think probably most people would want the job he had. And he left. I said, well, why'd you leave? He's like, I can't stand just optimizing one page. Like that's all I did was like newsfeed or whatever that would be. Like that was my job every day, optimize. I'm not building. Yeah, millions of people use this one feature, whatever you want. But to your point, just optimizing one page, like I'm boxed. Mm-hmm. Your point, it's just like there are people that like to build those pages. Are you good at video editing? Are you getting any good video chops here? Like how's your creator?
Our head of creative operations probably would not hire me, but I know my way around video editing tools enough to like be dangerous.
No, that's good. This was super cool. Well, listen, this is going to be pumped out on Machine Learning Day. And this day, and I want to tell you about this day and someone who's into a creative background and moving the needle is my goal for this, a new movement is to create something or to have a national day called Data Day. You get a calendar and it literally is a different day. It's the colored different. I think that we as data enthusiasts have so much to celebrate and educate, and a day where we can just say, data might be scary, but how good is Google Maps to get you where you want to go? How good is your Spotify playlist? How good is video compression? I know everyone gets freaked out on corner cases on bad, but like just think about, like I've been on a Zoom call, I've been on other technologies that are not Zoom and they don't have video noise cancellation and you hear everything. I mean, this is what we're celebrating. So based on your day-to-day, based on your travel habits, based on you, what would you celebrate on a day-to-day? What would you celebrate on a machine learning day on this day? And it's an open question.
Yeah, so I probably have the kind of VidMob answer to that and then my personal side. So I'll start with the personal side. So everything I do is like fueled by data. If I'm out on my bike, I have a computer that's collecting every stat that's possible, whether it's power, heart rate, you name it, VO2, and it's pumping it to Strava and Garmin and every platform. Yep. I spend way too much time analyzing it. So for me, it's just the amount of data that I can collect and around my own personal life is very exciting to me. So I would
so good.
On the VidMob side, the way we look at machine learning and the data that we generate is never to replace jobs or humans. It is to enhance the work and the time they spent to what we are uniquely capable of doing. And so for when we think about all the data we generate, so when we bring in media into our platform, we run it through a variety of machine learning models to extract creative attributes around this media. And it's not to produce content in an automated way. It is to bring insights out that would be very tedious or manual for a human to do and allow them to use that human in the loop kind of model and framework to then interpret those assets for the use case that they're thinking about, whether it's developing content for Facebook versus TikTok versus Instagram, and take the context of the world and the experiences they have and apply that to the data. And so I would kind of celebrate that the way that data is becoming more available to us through, the services that Amazon and Google and Microsoft are making available, is not to replace jobs, but it's really get us to think differently about the time we spend on producing valuable work.
For me, I want to go back to the more interesting part, is the personal one, right? To celebrate. I'm not into biking. I'm into golf, and you as that biker is me as a golfer, right? I want the swing. I want the swing speed. I want it all uploaded. I want the video. I want to look at it. I have the golf glasses. You probably have the Oakley or something like that, ride glasses. The data, what I'm celebrating is I'm older and playing better. I'm older and in better shape. I can't speak for you, but I want to ask you that. I mean, with the technology, with everything, it's more fun. I'm seeing better metrics, so I'm going to do it again and again. And for me, I can't believe it in a good way. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So for me, it fuels the competitiveness that I have for myself. And so everything is, whether I'm competing against myself in the previous day's stats, or I'm competing virtually against my friends on a leaderboard in Strava, it fuels that for me, but it also measures progress. And
I get you.
We ended up, our household, we made it almost a year without getting COVID, and then our household got COVID.
Oh,
and there's been a cardiovascular impact to that. But because I had the data before about how my performance on the bike was to what it is now, I now can measure kind of my return to fitness, and keep an eye on my heart rate. How is it recovering compared to efforts before? Yeah. And that's where the data, from a personal standpoint, is very valuable.
Out there. No, this was cool, man. Big fan. Fan of you. Now a fan of you. I've always been a fan of the brand, but it's always good to meet the people behind the brand. Easy to see now why it's successful. And I love creating the jobs and not replacing jobs. And I love creators. And I love that you're giving people tools to create.
Thanks. We do too, and we continue to celebrate that. Yeah, I think that business would be where it is today without the investment in creators.
And we always try to connect people. And in this time of COVID, and even as you get past it, it's just good to network. So many of our members are executives, but still introverts. So it's nice to have a warm connection. Is there a sector? Is there a person? Who can I make a handful of connections for you on LinkedIn just to strengthen a network effect?
It's a question that I didn't have an answer for on the pre-read here. And I think for me, as VidMob is entering our next phase of growth, what's going to be important for me is to get perspective and kind of outside guidance on what are these next stages when an engineering or a data team's growing, 2x, 3x over the next couple of years. How should a leader who's new to that experience be thinking about it and approaching that? So if you have anybody,
absolutely, both big and small,
to go with it, happy to have those connections.
Yeah, and it's there's two sides to that. There are people that have the exits, and everyone wants to be at the rocket ship. So I'll connect you with a few. So I'm happy to, and thank you for being part of this on this show and being part of Machine Learning Day. This has been real special for us.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.